drop! Get off the road! Clearly, you don't own an air fryer. Indeed.
This just keeps on getting worse for
Let's
me.
go!
Trevor, how does it feel to be the world's most toxic gamer?
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Goobers and Screens book club, where today we're discussing the Soul Society arc of Bleach, the part 3 of it. And with me is Brandon. Say hi, Brandon.
Hello, Kyle.
Hi. So, we're just going to be talking about chapters 152 to 183. Brandon
Last third of Soul Society, so it was good. It was weird to be on the other end of the intro, Kyle. I gotta admit, it was weird to be on the other end of the intro.
It's weird. I know we don't give intros. I didn't feel like I was doing it right, but that's okay. We made it to the first hurdle.
You did it just fine. After all, everyone listening to this is still here.
Yeah.
Except for the people that just clicked off because I said that. So, Bleach,
Sure.
Soul Society, we finished it up.
We finished.
It was pretty darn good. So I say.
I like this section. There's two things in particular that we'll talk about that are kind of weird, aka the hollow moment and the stuff with Tozen. But other than that, I thought this was a pretty strong finale to the arc.
I really enjoy Soul Society.
Yeah, I definitely for me. And we could say this more for the end, but obviously it dragged in the middle for me because I just wasn't motivated to read much of the middle section. But I thought it had a pretty strong opening, third, and this was a pretty good ending third. So we can get right into it.
Yeah, well, you got the notes. I'll let you lead the discussion.
Yeah, so we pick up where we left off last time, where Ichigo is so cool and big and strong and stuff, and he can just block the power of Vermilion's Zanpakuto. I know we talked about that.
Well, he is really cool, isn't he?
So he does that, and he literally throw like a baseball pitch, throws Rukia to Renji to retreat. Ichigo fights off some of the assistant captains without a sword, and then a couple of the fights start to happen. The more traditional thing in Shonen where characters will split up and they'll do their respective 1v1s.
Yeah, it's the end of the arc. You gotta have the end of the arc fights.
So, and we'll talk about this in a sec, but for some reason, I had always thought, because I remember seeing an anime scene a long time ago of Yuriichi fighting this chick who might know is Soifon now, and I always thought this happened in Aaronkar because they were in the middle of the forest, and I was like, there's no forest in Soul Society, but they just jumped off a ledge and went there. Just a random detail, but yeah, I thought that this fight happened later. So
they're pretty hot.
They are pretty hot. So after Ichigo rescues Rukia, and Renji runs off with Rukia, we get Ichigo, just the fight between him and Byakuya begins. We see the 8th and 13th captains, Jushiro and Shinsoi, defending, to helping out with Rukia, and they lead the Captain General Genryusai, the old guy, away. And then we see Yuriichi saving an assistant captain, Isane, from Soifon, and then they go fight somewhere. And then right after that, we see the one captain, Unohana, taking some people, injured people away on a manta ray. So, I like the split. I mean, it's the traditional end of arc.
It's a solid enough setup for the final stage, right?
Yeah, because there's I think other minor fights happening at the same time. I don't remember all the details on that, but these are the big 3 encounters that are happening at once, with some other stuff happening on the side that we'll talk about later, with the person who was supposedly dead this entire time, but he's not. That's crazy.
Funny man, that's so true.
In himself. So let's see what it says in the notes. So I think right after this, it gets a little bit into the Yuriichi section, and I'm kind of neutral on a lot of what happens. There's nothing. I don't think any of the writing here was bad or anything. I like Yuriichi, but I just didn't really care enough about Soifon, because the whole shtick here is Yuriichi is one of the big 4 families, and she's Soifon's mentor. And so you get the old mentor versus the new mentee fight. I mean, it was a cool setup on both sides.
Yeah, no, I think that it's a solid enough. I think that Soifon is a great character design and a great character. I think that she's done really well. You know, I wouldn't say maybe that she's anything like extremely special, but I like her little internal conflict with Yoruichi. I like Yoruichi in it, and her side too. And I thought the fight itself was pretty fun with their little techniques that they're doing. And ooh, I'm faster than you and all that. I thought it was a nice, serviceable little fun little fight.
Happens a bit later because there's some stuff that happens before they actually fight. But there was one quote that I thought was just really cool where Soifon's like, "You abandoned your position," and she's like, "Yes." Like, this is the quote. She goes, "Yes, I abandoned my position, but I don't recall abandoning my nickname." And then, does Flashmaster stuff. I thought that was cool where it's like, yeah, maybe I gave up my job, but like, I still have the power I once did. Like, you shouldn't underestimate me. Exactly. And then after... Oh, sorry, what?
I just said exactly.
Yeah. After this, we see the beginning of Jushiro and Shinsoi versus Genryusai, and I thought this section was... I mean, it's not supposed to be funny, but it was when he was, like, bullying Nanao, because he was just so overwhelmed by his spiritual pressure.
Yeah, it's like you're literally a vice captain about to go up. Like you think that you're going to even be anything compared to this dude who is, like, thousands of years old?
I don't know.
Get real.
I don't know
Grow
much about
up.
him. It just reminds me of that one picture where it's the tiger and he goes, he realized he's not built for this.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And then I wish I knew more detail on this note that I put, but it was because after that, it cuts and we see Renji running away with Rukia, and they're talking about like what Rukia's weakness is. Do you remember any more about that?
I think that it was like
a personal
Rukia putting herself down. And being like, oh, like, I'm not good. Like, I got Ichigo wrapped up in all of this. Why is he coming here to save me? And Renji was like, you helped Ichigo more than, like, you will ever know. He was he was like, Ichigo, like, he came here to repay his debt to you. Like he feels as if he's indebted to you. Like, you didn't ruin his life. You gave him the power to live it. It's basically that kind of thing.
His family. Like at the very beginning, like if you didn't do what you did, like Ichigo's, family and him, they would have died. So you shouldn't be like putting yourself down. You shouldn't be blaming yourself for what's happening. I thought that was a pretty good moment between them because we know that Rukia and Renji have more of a history with each other too.
Definitely.
And then after that, we get a little section with what's the guy's name that can like steal spirit energy?
Steal spirit energy.
The 11th Company, 50.
11th Company? Oh, Yumi Chika?
Yeah, Chika.
Yeah, Yumi Chika.
Because we get that reveal. That's kind of like a minor detail in all of this, but I think a power of absorbing spirit energy was interesting.
Yeah, Yumi Chika pulling a Mista and being like, I didn't want to be 4. And I didn't want to be 3 either. So I chose to be 5.
True.
Yet another example of, as we'll see with Hikaku, I alluded to this, where it's like they're stronger than they were initially projected to be, right?
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. Like, with that's also good, because he chose willingly to be 5th seat, so I suppose it's not unreasonable to see characters, like, being stronger than their title appears, because, I mean, that's a lot of... Like, in a lot of shonen, you can see that, but it's just, in the case of captains, co-captains, it felt like that should have been something that stayed consistent, but, like, I'm willing to see why some are stronger or weaker than what their given role is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So then after this, we cut back to a little bit more of the sequence with Genryusai fighting the other 2 captains. And I just want to highlight how cool this section was. Like, look, me personally, I'm a big Dark Souls guy, right? So when I see, like, Swords of Fire and Ash, I kind of go chimp mode. I go monkey brain mode. I thought this was a really fun sequence to see him be like, oh, it's a shame that I have to fight you both, and just whip out, like, the giant flame sword that's just, like, spurring up Ash. Really cool scene. Yeah, there's not much else to say on that. I just thought that was awesome.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I don't think we get to see as much of this fight as maybe I would have liked, but it's a neat little background thing going on, I guess.
I saw one scene of this character later fighting at some sequence in the show. Really cool. I cannot wait to see more of this character.
I think I've seen something too.
Yeah. So then he shows that his is on Zanpakuto Fire, and we see, I think it was Jushiro. Jushiro's the 8th one, right? Or no, Shunsoi's the 8th one. I'm trying to remember who's who.
Yeah,
Because
Ukitake is how I remember the 13th.
yeah, Jushiro Utatake, I think that's his name. Yeah,
Probably.
Because there's like one of them has a fish sword, and the other is like a flower Zanpakuto, I think.
Yeah. Flower is the 8th. I guess fish. Then I can't really remember what his power is. Would be 13th.
Yeah, and then this is the last cutaway, because like before they set up all the fights, or before they had like a lot of the focus on some of the fights, they did a lot, or Kubo did a lot of like cutting around of these things. That's why the notes just feel a bit discombobulated at the moment. But that's like I'm just writing them in the order that they were presented.
It's just setting up the stage for the big final fights, right? As it tends to do.
Yeah, Kukaku Shiba, the Ganyu's sister, shows up and gets Jindanbo to like quote unquote go visit Yoriichi. I think she shows up. I think they show up to help Yoriichi later. But yeah, so now we're back to the Soifon fight, which I thought this was a pretty good fight for what we saw of it. We get to see Soifon's powers, where she likes like a hornet power, like she hits someone in the same spot twice, it kills them. I don't know. I mean, that seems like a pretty deadly power.
Yeah. That seems like a power that could scale very poorly.
You mean like
it could like yeah, it's one of those that's like just it's simple enough that like it's like
you hit someone twice, they're dead, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of trade-offs to like. It's not like she's slower. It's just that you get hit twice, you're dead. So, I mean, it was interesting enough for the fight because we know Yoriichi's fast enough to not have that happen to her. And then, I forget the exact name of this, but Soifon's like, I devised this really special, powerful technique, and I've been mastering it for 100 years. And Yoriichi's like, oh, hey, I already did that like a little over 100 years ago, and then does it against her, and she got
better, yeah.
I put specifically in my notes, Soifon copes and seats about this, about how like she should have been weakened by 100 years, it's not fair, she's just being a little whiny little piss baby during the fight.
Maybe you should have gotten your money up instead of your funny up.
So true. And then we get to see their backstory. And I thought this was a pretty good backstory. I like this sequence. I thought it was, I mean, again, establishing the student-mentor role and how, like, a student will look up to a mentor. It'll dedicate, like, years of their lives. And then what they idolized as that mentor gets shattered. Because Soifon, from what I remember the backstory, like she would have lived and died for Yoriichi, but
yeah,
she learned that Yoriichi was a criminal helping Kisake. I don't know why I said that. Helping Kisake escape and like evading arrest, and we finally get like the big emotional climax of the issue where she's like, "I just wanted you to take me with you," and like they stop fighting after that. It's one of those moments where I can believe it. Because I know sometimes when a fight ends like that, it can feel a bit lackluster and like a bit hammy, but I think they did a good enough job presenting like she was never gonna beat Yoriichi, and it was just her letting out her frustrations. Like all I wanted was for you to not abandon me. I looked up to you. I spent like my whole life idolizing you, and you just left. I wish you would have taken me. I thought that was a pretty good ending to the little conflict that they had.
Yeah, no, I mean I think it's extremely solid. I think she's a well-written character, and I think she serves her purpose, and I think it's a fun little fight to look at and see and read between the main event.
Yeah, and then in between that and the start of Ichigo, or more of Ichigo fighting Byakuya, we're actually going to see more of that happen. The first time, there was a little scene of Ikkaku. Okay, that's why I said Ikkaku. I looked at his name. Ikkaku's fighting some guy named Iba. They're drinking sake with each other, then they start fighting. I don't think, if I remember right, that doesn't have too much significance, but it was like, drinking with a friend and then going to fight him.
I don't think it had too much significance. The dude is like the vice captain of the 8th company or something. Not the 8th, the vice captain of a company somewhere. He was originally in the 11th, and he went somewhere to be vice captain.
Like Tozen's vice captain, I think.
I think Tozen's vice captain was like the other like tattooed guy.
I don't remember.
He had like a face tattoo. I don't remember vice captain very well.
That guy later. But yeah, so we're at the main event, Brandon. Ichigo and Byakuya. We got the main event right here. I like this fight. This was a good fight.
But you have an issue with it. You have a problem with it.
I do have an issue with it that kind of bogs it down for me, and we'll get there. But first, I'm looking at my notes and see. So the fight had a really good build up, and I kind of like how it starts where Ichigo's like, "Come on, Byakuya, use your Bankai. I bet I can stop it." And then I put Byakuya's Shooketh when he actually blocks the the normal thousand Terry block. Like it does good setting the stage, right? Because I like how it's a good way of showing growth. Like, you have a villain character that can just use an attack that just basically one-shots everyone in his path, and so you finally have a character that can stop that. It's like, okay, now we know Byakuya has to get serious here, because he can't just say, magic sword, do the work for me, and then do it. He actually has to fight.
Yeah, so then, what you call it? I really like Ichigo versus Byakuya. I really liked it on the reread. I will say, I think maybe it had more hype in the anime, but like also could just be nostalgia clouding my vision with that. I still really enjoyed it, right? I think Ichigo versus Byakuya is really good. It's very cathartic to finally read. It was very cathartic watching it in the anime. I think maybe now having other references to fights that I've read and seen, where Ichigo versus Byakuya was like kind of the first of its kind for me, a bit, except for maybe some stuff in Fairy Tail. Though, despite Fairy Tail being the most of any anime I've ever seen, I remember very little from it.
You know what?
We should talk about Fairy Tail at some point, Kyle.
Little side tangent. Fairy Tail was the first manga I ever read. I do not recall a lot of details about it.
It's so interesting that happens.
I read all of it, but I could not tell you a majority of what happens. Anyway, so yeah, I kind of like, and with my thoughts on it, right? Because I didn't have the nostalgia factor of that. I just read it. I thought it was a good sequence. I don't know. For me, like I'm seeing with Bleach, like even after finishing Soul Society, I can say like I like Bleach, but I wouldn't gas it up. You know?
Yeah.
And this fight kind of shows that, because the fight's good. I mean, it's just if you like sword fighting. I mean, if you like well written sword fighting, it's a good series for that, and this is a good fight to have in there. Or like there's moments where like Ichigo, Byakuya finally pulls out the Bankai and he's like, well, shit, I shouldn't have assumed I could have beaten it with my Shikai, so I have to use my Bankai, which is Tensa Zangetsu, which is like the heavenly chain or whatever. They fight a lot more, and then I wish there's more to say about the choreography. Like the Pinganling was good, how it was drawn was good.
I think that Bleach in this fight is living up to my expectation for it. Because my expectation for it was, I want to go in and read a pretty cool story and see some pretty cool dudes fight.
Yeah. I mean,
and what can I say except for a lot of these fights have been pretty cool. At least for me, I've really enjoyed them.
Look, Brandon,
like it's not like the thematical and cinematic and character-driven masterpieces that are fights like Meruem versus Netero, or Yuji versus Mahito, or Luffy versus Kaido, maybe to a lesser degree than the other two, right? Let's be real.
No, of course. No.
But if it isn't cool to see Ichigo stand there and let out a really big slash with his sword against Byakuya, that's pretty freaking cool.
Look, I've that Genjutsu won't work on me. I'm not one to fall for those quick trip or like cheap tricks, you know.
Yeah, I know your palate's too refined. You can't enjoy things anymore.
I'm not against cool moments. Like a lot of series I read, they have really cool moments. Look, I was gonna say before we changed topic, I was gonna say, look, Brandon, I'm just trying to prolong the inevitable of talking about Ichigo's Hollow moment, because I already know the fight's gonna go downhill from there. So I guess we'll talk about that now. I did not like that. I did not like that inclusion. I don't like how it was. The idea was fine, right? This is in a lot of shonen. I mean, we can reference this like Black Clover, Jujutsu Kaisen, or anything like that. When you have a character moment where like a character kind of like gets taken over, and it's like, oh, well, the trade-off is they have more power, but they're not them, and they're struggling for control. I really hate how that interrupts fights, because I think it bogs down the entirety of the fight, because it's what forces them into the final deadlock. Because before that, right, Byakuya was beating Ichigo, or like they were having a fight. Byakuya was beating Ichigo. Ichigo's like, oh damn, I'm about to die. Like he's literally about to kill me. And then Ichigo's hollow appears. It's like, well, I'm here to protect you. Does a lot of damage to Byakuya by showing up. Like I remember one panel where he gets a clean cut across the chest on Byakuya. And then after that, Ichigo regains control, and it's like, looks like we're both at our limit. Let's do a final, clash and decide who wins it all. And it's like, I don't like how Ichigo was saved from it. What would have been interesting is if his hollow appeared. Like, okay, here's how I would have done it, or at least a quick interpretation of what I would have done. Don't have Ichigo almost die to beat. Instead, they're in the middle of fighting, and then you start hearing like a voice in Ichigo's head being like, "You can't do it. I'm taking over." His hollow takes over. Is obviously stronger than Byakuya. And before he lands a single hit on Byakuya, Ichigo takes back in control and is like, no, I'm doing it myself. You go back down there. And then have the fight play like that. Like, you could have that moment in the fight, but it shouldn't have been the one that led to the final clash that they had where Ichigo won. That's just my thoughts on it. I didn't like the fight from that point onward, but everything up until that was pretty good.
I still like it. I think I completely get and understand and respect what you're saying. I even agree a bit. However, you could look at it as the hollow just unlocking Ichigo's latent potential that he trained for. And it was just Ichigo having mental blocks and holding him back from actually being able to be that strong and beat Byakuya like that. And it was just the hollow unlocking that. You could look at it like that. That is a way that you could look at it.
I get it, but it just on the whole, Ichigo was about to lose, but then it shows up, deals a significant amount of damage to Byakuya, and then it's like, well, shit, now we both taken a lot of damage, and it's like, I just wish the fight was more Ichigo versus Byakuya, and less of Ichigo and that one moment his hollow came in really, really clutch versus Byakuya.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to agree with you because, objectively, you're pretty correct. But it was pretty freaking badass to see. It was pretty badass. It was pretty badass to see him be like, dude, I'm evil. And then she goes like, ooh, I'm not going to be evil. And then they fight and they have the one final blow. And then it does the anime. That was pretty badass.
And again,
that was pretty badass.
I can't say I've given in to the coolness factor. I'm looking at it in an objective way. It's a good fight up until that point. I did not think the moment should have been included as is. I mean, granted, is it as bad as moments in, say, Black Clover where they try that? No, it is nowhere near as bad. It's toward the end of the fight. It's a single hit, I get it. But that moment still detracts from what otherwise would have been a really cool 1v1. Because, the best fight, in my opinion, in this entire, section, in all of Soul Society, was probably Ichigo and Kenpachi. That was a really good fight. And
yeah, I would agree. I think that's a very good fight.
Yeah, it was awesome. And Ichigo versus Byakuya would have been the best, but it just felt like Ichigo kind of got handed the win toward the end, where it's it didn't have to be written the way that it was. You could have had them still be equal, and it's all right, well, this isn't going to get anywhere. Let's finish this once and for all. And they both use their biggest hits. It could have worked the way that Kubo tried doing it. Just minus the hollow. That's all it is with me. If you took out the hollow moment, I would have said it's a phenomenal fight, but I can't give it that with that moment. I can't.
Yeah, but it's pretty badass.
It's a good fight.
It's pretty badass.
It's a good fight, and I can say that much.
What's up next on the docket?
Yeah, let me check in my notes. So, there's some bits and pieces in between, all Ichigo's friends that are waiting on. Also, one other thing. I kind of wish that all Ichigo's friends got to do more this section. That's not, an objective complaint. They were pretty helpful for, the first half of this arc. It was just kind of sad to see them all sitting there twiddling their thumbs, waiting. Like, Orihime makes sense, right? She's not a fighter, but like, the more I think about it, the more I'm saying I wish Chad could have done something in this sequence.
Like, what could he have done?
Allow me to rephrase. I understand why they couldn't. They're not strong enough to. I just wish there was something that they could have done, other than just waiting for Ichigo to fight Byakuya. Because that's, they were all talking with each other, and I think someone had said, like, Ichigo could leave right now, but he's just going to go crush the enemy's hopes for executing Rukia. I thought that was a pretty cool line of, like, he could just leave, but he's choosing to fight to make sure that they know you're never touching her.
Yeah, no, totally. I think it's cool stuff.
Yeah, and then after the fight, right, Byakuya tells Ichigo, like, why he never tried saving Rukia. Like, there was a fairness in the law, and he was never truly Ichigo's enemy. That's what he said. Like, Ichigo's only...
I never cared for this part.
I'll
be pretty honest with you, Kyle. I never cared for this part. I might like Ichigo versus Byakuya. That doesn't mean I like Byakuya post the fight. I think before the fight, he's built up as an amazing antagonist. I think that he is built up very well, and that's part of the reason why I really enjoy Ichigo versus Byakuya. I don't like this part, kind of at all.
The gun on what I was going to say that felt odd, because I was just reading off my notes real quick. It felt a bit too, I guess the word, but like, not ham-fisted, but it felt a bit too hammy to be like, oh, I was never your enemy. I was just upholding the law, and you were just fighting the Soul Society. And I mean, like, if he had just admit defeat and was like, look, you beat me, I'm not gonna go after Rukia anymore, that'd have been fine, right? Like an honorable antagonist. But it was like, we were never really enemies. I was just following the law to a T. And Ichigo's like, I know, Byakuya, and then they make out. And it's like, no,
they do. That's so true. They do make out, don't they? Yeah,
but,
I don't know. Yeah. I've never bought it. It's like, oh, I had a wife, but she died, and you were her sister, and she abandoned you, and then I adopted you, and then I was just always cold towards you, and then I just wanted to kill you. Okay. I think that you can have Byakuya be a character. Like, if Byakuya's arc was, right, him being, the noble family, right, and, like, his parents or whoever, the head of the family, takes in Rukia for whatever reason, right? Or maybe she's, like, a long-lost sister or something, right?
Something.
And then his whole character arc is being torn between the law and his adopted sister. I think that could work very well. And then I think that could give the effect that I think Kubo was going for, as opposed to what he did, which is just like, well, then did you even like your wife? And, like, wasn't she kind of a shitty person? Because, like, okay, I get it. Like, she abandoned her sister because yada, 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 right? Like, you and I know a character kind of like that from a certain part, from a certain series that you and I both really enjoy, right? Like it's a doable character trope. Like, you can make
referring to I just
hot pants.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you could do a character well with that, right? But you have to redeem them. But like, this chick abandoned her child sister, right? And then married into a noble house and did jack shit about it for years. It's like, I'm supposed to care? I mean, come on. And then her husband adopts this kid who is apparently relatively easy to find.
And it's so cold to her.
And then he, like, never, like, puts her into the family. And then he's like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to kill you. Like...
and then after all that, like, well, I kind of did care about her all along. And it's like, no, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying
I'm not a fan. I never bought into it. And I never bought stock. I never bought stock in it. What can I say?
Look, to bring up what my friends and I talked about when talking about My Hero, and you say, like, I like this character, you have to ask which version of the character. Do you like the Byakuya that actually likes and enjoys it, like Rukia as his sister for like a couple of minutes, or do you like the Byakuya that's the antagonist who was built up really well? Because there's two different Byakuyas here. And
I think you can do both of them. It's just not how Kubo did it.
in the case how he did it, there's two Byakuyas. There's the Byakuya that likes and loves Rukia, and the Byakuya that just did not care and is indifferent. I'm seeing two different Byakuyas here. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing two different Byakuyas here.
Yeah. It's probably my least favorite part of Soul Society.
I look, in terms of least favorite, I mean, honestly, there was a couple moments that I was kind of met on. I'm not just going to default and say Ichigo's hollow, because there's other stuff beforehand I wasn't a huge fan of, but this definitely did detract from an otherwise amazing antagonist, right? I mean, Byakuya the entire time was like this menacing presence where he showed up and everyone's like, oh my god, it's Byakuya. And Byakuya would just whip out his sword and be like, I'm going to kill you now, and then just kill a person.
Yeah,
cool.
and then you'd kill him now. Dude wasn't talk. He ain't capping. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Yeah, and you know, his fights were like he had to put in more effort. Like when his fight with Renji was really good, and the whole quote of like the monkey and the reflection of the water. I don't know, stuff like that was really cool. I remember we talked about that. But then to have it be like stripping away what made Byakuya an amazing antagonist and then making him just, I don't know, as is. Yeah, hey, Brandon, at the very least, we're going to move on to some pretty amazing stuff here. Let me tell you. We got a really good section coming up, because I like the endings of this arc a lot.
Now we're getting into my favorite part of Soul Society.
This was a very, very good sequence. So, after Byakuya 2 decides I'm not going to be Byakuya 1 anymore, and, I give up, or everyone shows up to help Ichigo, and then we get the start of a really fun, mindfuck section. So, Rengiku and Toshiro go in to, see the council, right? Like, the council you're never supposed to go in and see. Because they're, doing investigating. This is what I was alluding to earlier when I said, other stuff's happening in the background during all these fights. They go inside and they see that the entire council, the entire hidden council that makes decisions, they've been killed. They're all just dead. And then Izuru, Jin's co-captain, is actually there at the crime scene. This was such a good section. And then we see, after that, they start chasing, him down, or Toshiro and Rengoku start chasing Izuru, and then Momo was revealed to actually be the one following them, and then Gin shows up and is like, "Hey, Momo, come with me." So then, this is probably one of my favorite moments, and I messaged this to Brandon simply because of how funny it was. So, big reveal, big plot twist. Aizen's still alive. Brandon, I know I didn't understand. I know I didn't say that early on, but he's alive. I never. I know
it's a really good twist. I don't think he ever saw it coming.
Yeah, and hey, at the very least, I said to a friend I was talking about with Bleach. The good thing is, since I knew that he was a villain beforehand, I was able to look at how the pieces were moving together to build that up. And I gotta say, Aizen had a really good build up as a villain, because I mean, if I didn't know that he was a bad guy and that he'd live, this would have been a big shocker, a big plot twist. Right? Because, Aizen's been killed. Oh, is Jin one of the evil guys? No, it's just they've been, all working underground and perpetuating it. Because the moment I thought was really funny is when Momo walks up to Aizen and he's like, "Oh, thank you, Momo," and then just stabs her for no reason.
Hey, he's based. What can I say? He's a based man on his based way.
No, I shouldn't laugh at that. I know I shouldn't. But that was just the comedic timing of it all. Thank you, and then she just gets stabbed. I don't know. I just thought that was pretty funny comedic
Aizen
timing.
is the king of peak. What can I say?
He is probably the best part of Soul. The ending sequence of Soul Society is probably the best part of Soul Society. Just genuinely, I think this is where the writing shines, because he stabs Momo. Gin's Captain Aizen, so Gin and Aizen have been working together. Toshiro shows up, and then we see that those two, they actually conspired ever since he became a captain.
Ever since before he was even a captain.
Sorry, before he was, I put since Aizen became a captain, beforehand. And we see, Aizen started, they're striking Toshiro, Captain Unohana, the manta ray chick, shows up. He's labeled a traitor, and then oh god, this was a bit confused. Like, I understood the logic behind it. I don't remember the details now, but Aizen's Bankai or whatever, it allows him to hypnotize.
I don't think it was a Bankai. I think it was Shikai.
Oh, sorry, Shikai. Yeah, but his sword allows him to hypnotize enemies. And I mean, the quote that I put was like, a fly can appear as a dragon. Like, you can hypnotize people into like seeing what you want them to see. And then Tozen works for Aizen.
I guess. Sure.
Yeah, I want to take a moment about this. Not, again, a very indifferent writing choice. Like, this wasn't a good or bad writing choice. This was just okay, sure, yeah, we can roll with that. Thanks, Kubo.
No, I think it was, like, because Tozen was blind. And so it's like, well, he wouldn't be able, like, he'd be able to, like, see through, Aizen's funny Shikai, right? Where it's like, oh, he's not an illusion to him. And it's like, well, then I guess he has to work for him. And, like, I don't know Kubo's planning, but, like, that could have been it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess this Tozen guy has to work for him because, like, there's, like, no build up to it. And it's like, yeah, Tozen works for me. It's like, cool, I guess, sweet, good, awesome, good for you.
Yeah. So then, after that big reveal that he's hypnotized everyone, what did he make them think was him? Was it like a doll or something that they all thought was?
I think it was his Zanpakuto.
Oh, sorry, his Zanpakuto. So when it was like strung up on the wall and like killed, like that just didn't happen. So after that, Tozen warps everyone to the cliffside where Renji and Rukia and all of them are. Let's see. I'm reading some notes here. Okay. So Aizen, I think, was like giving Renji a chance to leave, where he's like, just leave Rukia here and go. Go away. I don't want to deal with you. Just go. All the other captains get... I don't know why I worded it like this. So Brandon, my note says, Unohana's co-captain alerts all other captains, all other SS members. Dubbed it
Soul Society. That's so true.
Yeah, and the intruders, all that Aizen is an intruder, and that Aizen's here because he wants Rukia dead. So now we're getting into the whole like Aizen planned everything all along, which I don't know if he's planned even like I couldn't tell you if he had planned like the hollow attack at Ichigo's house or whatever. Maybe he planned that too. I don't know, but as of now, he planned everything that happened in Soul Society. There's another one on my note where I put Ichigo and Renji team up to fight Aizen, and then my next note says, never mind the above note, parentheses, they lose.
That's so true. Parentheses, they lose. That's so true.
Okay, he planned every part. So
I like Aizen's little plan, right?
Little, that is vastly understating the amount of bullshit, not like a awfully written way, but like the amount of bullshit that went into this actually happening.
He was like, okay, Kisuke Urahara. He made a thing that lets Hollows and Soul Reapers become one, and like Ibushi powers.
It removes the barrier between them, and
you get real strong, right? So that's kind of based, right? That's kind of cool. Yeah. But like, where did he hit it? Well, obviously, he must have hidden it inside a Gigai, and so whenever Rukia went to the human world and met up with him and was put inside a Gigai, he was like, that's it. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to have Rukia come back to the Soul Society because I'm going to order her execution for this. And then I'm going to speed up the execution by killing the entire council. And then I'm going to make sure the execution is using this weapon that I need for it to use because I need this. And I'm going to do that through the council that I killed. And then while this is going on, like, I know people are going to come in and they're going to cause a commotion. It'll be the perfect cover for a captain dying because then, like, even that would be lost in the commotion of all this. And then he says, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to get the thing that I needed because Kisuke Urahara put it in her. And his whole thing was, like, he was going to make it, she was just a normal human so no one would be able to tell ever again.
Yeah, also, it worked as, they had like an illusion set in the room where the council was, because they said like no one was ever going to interrupt the council, so we could just go in there and like in and out as we pleased, and no one would have suspected a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, oh my god, like yeah, you summed it up. That was pretty much it. Where there was also after what you had said, he reveals the second method of extracting it, called like the Kogyuko. I think I'm botching that pronunciation. Basically, it's a thing where like he makes things sprout from the ground, and it just saps whatever he needs out of her. Like it's a failsafe in case the execution failed. Yeah. So he needs. We see. Let's see. People start fighting Aizen. Aizen brings in like some more allies. Kukaku and Nabo appear, and then everyone surrounds Aizen. There's this really cool like two-spread panel two-page panel where like everyone was surrounding Aizen. Everyone had his ass surrounded.
And Jin and
Tozen.
Tozen, yeah.
Yeah. So then after this, Aizen's like, "You're not actually gonna get us." Menos Grande portal with the weird thing lurking inside. Open, and then it opens.
It's
and
so
then
true.
They get beamed up. They get EBDB'd, and they escape through like the light beams coming down.
They do escape the EBDB. That is accurate. That's 100% accurate.
So yeah, Aizen got away with it, and he got the thing that he needed to cause holification.
He won. Aizen won.
Aizen is the best freaking part of this section, because this is the best writing Bleach had with like the mystery, having everything set up as well as it was, having the awesome reveal that Aizen's still alive. Tozen
I always enjoy just a dude who's just evil because he's evil.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Aizen might get a sad backstory later, but right now this dude just wants to be evil, and it's like, hey, I'm all for it, bro. You do you, like, honest, slay king.
Break the boundaries between human and hollow, which I mean, that's a pretty good evil motivation. So yeah, he wins. Aizen,
yeah. And his funny line of like, the throne above heaven has been vacant for so long, I'm gonna take it. Like it's about time someone sat down in it. It's like, okay, this is peak. I think this is peak.
Yeah. I also seen in Jump Force that he sits in an actual chair, so that might be it. I don't know.
That's EBDB, I think.
It is EBDB. But yeah, he wins. That's it. Like he doesn't kill them, but, everyone lives, but he basically wins. He gets what he wants. He extracts the thing from her and says, all right, EBDB, and then they leave. So, yeah, after that, before that, I just want to reinforce again, this was the best part of Bleach's writing, just bar none. This was the best part of Bleach's writing so far. The big reveal of Aizen, having everything all culminate together, and then them leaving. So, Kubo can write really well. I just think on the whole, a lot of the writing is of average-ish. I mean, I'm not trying to insult the man, but, it just kind of blew me away how, good the writing was this section. I don't know. I keep on saying that, but just, wow. It was...
Maybe Kubo fumbled Byakuya a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he kind of slipped out of his hands at the end there.
Yeah.
At least Aizen got a really cool setup.
Aizen, oh god, I've heard people say about Bleach later, but for now, I'm going to revel in the fact that this sequence was really well written. This is a good sequence. And then, after that, we get the concluding parts of this arc, where the society decides to help the Ryokai, because, they're not actually, they don't actually hate each other. Also, Kurosuchi's just gone. I remembered that. That wasn't in my notes, but Kurosuchi just dipped. I told this to Brandon. I said I thought it'd make more sense if Kurosuchi was his other ally, or if they had done something to set that up with Tozen. Yeah, I don't know.
I think that Kurosuchi would have been good.
Yeah,
he's handsome. Did you see that? Do you see him without all the stuff on?
I've not. No.
Well, it was in there.
Was it?
I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you after.
Let's see.
He's still around. He's still around, but.
Oh yeah, we get the Byakuya telling Rukia thing where Hisano wasn't my wife, but it was, or it was that. Yeah, it was his wife, right? But it was actually her older sister.
Yeah, I think this is where we got all that I talk about, but I talked about it already. So.
Post battle, Ichigo spars with people. Rangiku and Isuru drink with Toshiro.
Rangiku's hot.
Oh, there's a sequence where That is true. Orihime's like, oh no, Rukia disappeared, and then we see Rukia go to apologize to Kukaku and Ganyu. And I like Kukaku's response where she just punches Rukia upside the head and is like, I forgive you, quit saying you're sorry. Like, it happened. You know, like, bygones speak. Bygones speak.
You killed my brother. It's fine. I don't care.
Yeah. And then we get a line from Ichigo that I thought was really, really nice, where Rukia tells him, like, I think I'm going to stay in Soul Society. And Ichigo's like, the rain has finally stopped. I don't know. Just that was a line that stuck out to me. And then he thanks Rukia.
I think it was a nice little interaction between the two. Because Ichigo, like, let her stay. It wasn't like, oh, you have to come with me. He was like, if you're happy here, then that's fine. He said that's what I wanted. He said I wanted to let you be happy. He said if you're happy here, that's good with me. Yeah. You know, I thought it was real nice because it's like they got a nice little relationship there.
It was a good conclusion to that, and I know Rukia's probably going to show up more later, but yeah, as now, like, that was a good ending to Soul Society, and then after that they return to the living world. And there's a little bit more to talk about. Real quick.
We had a little bit into the beginning of Aaron Carr.
Yeah, a little bit into the Aaron Carr. Sorry, well, for some reason, whenever I looked at like the chapters on the wiki, it said like to read up to this point.
Yeah, I don't know. That was weird.
Yeah, so
it was a little bit into Aaron Carr.
No, but I think this was a good cliffhanger to talk about. Yeah. So like I don't regret the decision to read as far as we did. So anyway, they get back. Ichigo clears the air with Kisuke, talks to him about all that stuff, and Kisuke's like, yeah, it's true. And then I don't remember what happens there, but I know that Ukitake, I think that's the 8th or 13th. I think it was the 13th captain. He gives Ichigo a deputy pass where, like, I mean, I forget all the details, but it allows him to like do stuff for soul, like be like a soul reaper, like a deputy. Like,
it's like you can like legally do it, and it lets him get out of his body by himself. He doesn't need Rukia to punch him anymore.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So after that, Ichigo goes back to his original body, and then everyone else goes back home. We see him go back to the school. We get reintroduced to all the side characters. Personally, I mean, I don't really care about the side characters, but it was cool to see some of them, I suppose. Like,
back. You know, at this point of writing this, I don't guess people had seen them in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, like, so they haven't seen them in a while. So we get a big reintroduction.
It's kind of like after Dressrosa going back and being able to see like, oh, there's
Ami and them. Yeah. So also Tatsuki concedes she goes past, and she shouldn't be able to do that because that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I knew what more context put for this note. I just put man's falls out of sky. I forget the context of that. I think that was like his name is Shinji Hirako, and he joins Ichigo's class.
Yeah,
and later,
funny man.
That night, the last 2 things that I have in my notes, we see Shinji go to attack Ichigo, and then with Kon in Ichigo's real body, there's some like creature that's stalking Kon in Ichigo's body. So yeah, that was all of Soul Society and like a little bit in Aaron Carr. Like, I mean, I can't even say in Aaron Carr, like, just, you know, we get back, we're seeing a little bit more, but yeah, that was Soul Society. On the whole, right, just remembering everything I've read, I like Bleach, but I'm not going to say, if nothing else, right, here's a good way I could word it. I feel more emotionally angry and pissed off when I talk about some stuff like Black Clover or like Hunter x Hunter in its current manga state. With Bleach, I just feel very neutral, right? And it's one of those where, what's better? Would it be better to hate it or to not really have any strong opinions on it? Because it's not like you hate it, but you also just don't feel really strongly about it. And I can say that with Bleach. Like, I think there were some big highlight moments in this arc. Ichigo versus Kenpachi was really good. The whole twist with Aizen, you know, some stuff in the middle, like the middle of the arc, you know, like Yurichi and Soifon, just everything. Like, there's some really good moments in there. But on the whole, I just felt very, I don't know, indifferent toward it.
I really enjoy Soul Society. I still really enjoy Soul Society. I think maybe I've seen through some of the cracks. I've opened up through nostalgia a little bit. But I still really enjoy it. I think it has a lot to offer. I think a lot of the fights are really good. I think a lot of the characters are really well written. I think that like it has a couple moments that hold it back.
But nothing like egregious, you know.
Better than anything in Black Clover.
Yeah, it's there's nothing there's no 214 so far, which I understand. I am horribly jinxing it because I've heard the grapevine speak of it does get pretty bad later. But just as of now,
Well, people call Black Clover peak, Kyle. You're going to hear every opinion.
I'm going to hear every opinion, right? But at the very least, I've heard these opinions about Bleach from people whom have, at least in my books, somewhat reliable opinion. That aside, I am looking forward to reading more Bleach. This Soul Society was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying my time with Bleach, but I just don't feel too strongly about it. You know, like I like it, but I don't. And I would recommend it to people, but I personally just don't really feel super strongly attached to it.
And now we're going into Aaron Carr.
Yeah, we're going into Aaron Carr. So
you basically know everything I know. I think.
Yeah.
I know. I can't even say I know what Aaron Carr is. I know what Aaron Cars are.
Can I? Right? Oh, they're like a species or something, or like okay, because I had theorized just without any prior knowledge that Aaron Carr was like this big floating island. Literally no context. I just thought that's what it might be. Mm-hmm. But
I know the namesake, and I know like two other like big notable things.
Yeah, I know like nothing about what's going to happen going forward.
It'll be interesting. I think there's a lot of information in what we're going to be reading. And then this next part will take us further than I've ever been in Bleach.
Yeah, so up to the next point, we're going to be reading chapters 184, and we're going to read up through 229, so stop before 230. That's where we're going, because time we have Aaron Carr, the Arrival.
Ooh.
Yeah, fancy.
So
that I leave Soul Society with a solid out of 10.
It's true. So, if you're this far in the video, obviously there's something you like. So be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us how cool we are. Also, if you like the duo of me and Kyle, and also happen to be caught up on One Piece and Chainsaw Man, check out our weekly reviews over on the Rat's Nest link in description. And if you want to hear me talk about light novels and other stuff by myself, also check out the Rat's Nest, because that's also on there, but it's less common than Chainsaw Man and One Piece, since that's like the bread and butter. And yeah, next time on Book Club will be Aaron Carr, or maybe Sonichu 1, or maybe JoJo's part. Honestly, there's a very real possibility the next Book Club could be JoJo's part 9.
Very well might be.
Just depends how fast we get to read this and then get to record. But yeah, so we'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.